This is Roy Durantes, and today we are celebrating Earth Day here at Salton Sea. I spoke with several people today. Some are property owners, some community members, and some are people just concerned about the area who came here today to make a statement on their concerns for the Salton Sea. Also today we took opportunity to announce the new date for the Salton Sea Film Festival, which will be November the 5th, with October the 23rd as the deadline for submission. So please remember, make a film, save the sea. Just submit a 3 to 5 minute short film on the Salton Sea or the New River or the environment. Just send it to us and that will put you in the Salton Sea Film Festival.
We have a gentleman who has inspired so many to get involved with the Salton Sea and creative means using film. And this is a big part of the way that Ecomedia Compass got started, was using film to tell a story. And Mr. Roy Durantes has started a Salton Sea Film Festival. And he teaches all kinds of people how to make stories, how to use film, how to tell the story of the Salton Sea for support, for change, for awareness, for education. And we've partnered recently on a film festival that was in October. He did a fantastic job. His team is incredible putting all of these films together. So we're so grateful that he's come today to tell a little bit more about this.
It's a one-of-a-kind project here in Imperial County. We started this in the belly of the pandemic. I wanted the kids in Imperial Valley to have something to do while they were, out of school. And because I'm a journalist and a filmmaker, I thought, this is one way that I can put my skills together to help my community, and also because I am passionate about restoring the Salton Sea and what that could mean to our local environment, our local economy, and our local people. We're creating an army of young filmmakers who are going to tell their story on the Salton Sea, the New River, and the environment in which they live in. Folks, thank you so much for coming today, and long live the Salton Sea.
With the Salton Sea, it's close to home for many people here, and they may not have heard of it before, but they'll come out from different cities and realize that this is a part of them and that they could be a part of the future here. And I love to see people get inspired by others. They'll look and see someone who decided to take some information about restoration or about speaking up for this place and run with it and start a campaign. They'll start a letter writing campaign. They'll bring a bunch of bands. They'll bring artists. They'll start a film festival. And environmental restoration is contagious in a really, really beautiful way. And in the last couple of years, we've seen so many people jump in the boat of helping restore the Salton Sea. And people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and that's what we're here doing today.
This area has been a place that I've been coming to for almost 40 years. We started coming here when I was a kid, and we would trail ride motorcycles, and we come down to the sea, and the beauty of the sea, the birds back then was just incredible. The pelicans, the flocks, hundreds and hundreds of pelicans, cormorants, and the sea life, the birds. And I guess over the years, if you just come down here and you see it, you don't really get a snapshot in time of what's happening down here. But somebody who's been coming here 30 or 40 or 50 years, you can really see it. And it's devastating. There's a solitude here that you can get out by yourself and just be alone and enjoy the beauty of nature, the quietness of the desert, down here by the sea, the birds. It's kind of an obscure landscape, almost like you're on another planet, like the moon, like you've left and gone to the moon, and you can just kind of get off on your own, and it's just a really good feeling, solitude.
Once again, we have 6 categories in this year's film festival. We have junior high school, adult, music video, popular vote, and we have the snowbird category, which is a new one. In this category, anybody who does not live in the Imperial County can enter a 3 to 5 minute short video. Whether you live in California or Nevada or anywhere else, you can enter a film and also take part in our film festival.
It's worth to save this area because if we save this area, I believe that the towns around this area will come back to life. The tourism will come back. Economy will just boom out here if we fix everything that we need to fix.
It's inspired by the stories of the Southwest and the environment that I live in. You know, it's all created from objects that were found here in this environment. I believe that we don't own a piece of property that we live on. We're just merely the stewards of that piece of property for the time that we occupy, and that we need to have reverence, and as the Navajos say, to walk in beauty.
It is very important that we study the sea because you think about it, the community they breeding in toxic areas, you know, and you know why is it they get to breed this toxic air, and we are the neighbor next door. We didn't know the problem, so by us, you know, bring this awareness. Hopefully, like I don't know, the government, the state, whoever that have the love and the heart of humanity that these kids are putting out, right? So they can at least the community here can breed better, or can at least have a better lake for someone to enjoy, the next generation. Like, we owe this to them, right? We get to enjoy, why not them?
I think it's very important that we take care of it and that we basically we save it, because it's been struggling the last few years and especially in the last decade or so. So I think now if we take action, we bring more awareness, more events like this, then that's something that we can help improve it in the future. So the Salton Sea is not just important for recreation purposes and because it's part of nature, but the health of the Salton Sea is also important for the communities in the Imperial Valley, because if the Salton Sea is declining, then it can cause a lot of health problems here with as we know that there's particles in the air that can happen. So that's why I think it's very important that that the people who are able to take action, they take action. And the little bit of contribution that we can do, yeah, we do. And I'm glad that so many people came here today. And I think every year there's more things going on. We have the Salton Sea Film Festival here every year, which brings in people from different parts of California and different parts of the Imperial Valley. And I think it's promoting more projects like this, more projects that are going to bring awareness to the area. We've done a few documentaries about the Salton Sea, myself and my wife, and this last year we actually did a documentary together with my daughter about the ancient history of the Salton Sea and the lake that used to be here before. I think that that's a very important thing, like knowing the history of this place, knowing that it's not a mistake, knowing that there's been water here before, and yeah, every time we can get a chance to bring awareness to that, we do. I also plan to do a video game that's centered around the Salton Sea, because I develop video games, and I have a few music projects too that I'm planning to bring here in the future. I also work with dancers, and that's something that I discussed with some of the dancers. They have a festival in Bombay Beach that maybe we can do some collaborations together there.
We also want to take this opportunity to announce the new date for the Salton Sea Film Festival in 2022, which will take place on Saturday, November the 5th. The submission deadline is October the 23rd, so please get your films ready, 3 to 5 minutes in length. Go to Facebook, Salton Sea Film and Arts Festival, to know more details. We have 6 categories. We have junior high school, adult, music video, popular vote, and the new one, the snowbird category, which is open to anybody who lives outside of Imperial County. So wherever you live, if you want to submit a 3 to 5 minute film, now you can. Remember, the deadline is October the 23rd, and the festival is on Saturday, November the 5th.
Any person who wants to can help their planet and help the Salton Sea. So the first thing to do is learn about it. Learn about what's going on, learn about some of the challenges, and learn about a lot of the solutions. I'm heavy on the solutions. We want to know how to fix these things. People can go to community meetings. There are many. The Natural Resources Agency, the Salton Sea Authority are getting much more organized in supporting restoration options. There are quite a few nonprofits that'll line up with different areas that may be something that you believe in. Audubon does a lot about specifically birds. The Ecomedia Compass does a lot for physical restoration, giving a voice to people. Different community groups have different ways of restoring this, and so we can all get involved in different ways that mean something to us. But I encourage you to learn about it. Watch some of these films. Write letters to your representatives. Write letters to your leaders in Sacramento. Demand restoration. Demand action. Not just mitigation. Not just covering up a problem. Healing it. Restoring. We know how to add water to the entire Southwest and the Salton Sea. Let's make sure there are enough resources here for future generations of people and wildlife.
I just want to tell you, when it comes to the technical aspects of the Salton Sea, Katie Burnworth has been an incredible resource. When she talks about some of the particulate matter here, and she talks about PM10 and PM2.5, that stuff, that particulate matter is so small that when it enters into your lungs, you can't cough it out. And those are the things that she's able to articulate to me in terms of the dangers that exist from a public health aspect. So she has been quite the advocate, and I appreciate her. She's an incredible mom, a single mom, an elected official, and has quite a career. And she's able to balance, and her advocacy for the sea deserves recognition. So I want to give her a big round of applause and just encourage her to keep up the good fight. On behalf of the Salton Sea Film Festival, we want to give this plaque of recognition to Katie Burnworth for her support towards the restoration of the Salton Sea. An applause.
I'm just very grateful that we got to do like a challenge kind of on like the Salton Sea, and I'm just like very grateful on doing this project and learning something new like every time.
This really did take a lot of team effort, especially with the days that were minimum days. But other than that, everyone was doing great. So it really did. Especially where we are at now, I'm really grateful for this.
So Nathan, let's talk a little bit about the Sea-to-Sea project, which is being evaluated and considered to solve the problem of the Salton Sea. Can you tell us a little bit about it? And I will be asking you some questions every now and then, so forgive my interruptions.
No, that's great. Yeah, so our Sea-to-Sea project is called Tres Lagunas, or the Three Seas development, and that encompasses the northern Sea of Cortez, the Laguna Salada, and the Salton Sea as a restoration template that could actually, as mentioned, help weather patterns and enhance and prolong the North American monsoon. So it's really a climate change mitigation and management project in and above restoring the Salton Sea.
So I saw your video on that project, and it looks pretty impressive. But Nathan, is it feasible?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So there's a lot of different conversations happening right now. Would it have a negative impact on, well water? And in fact, it does the opposite. It encourages and enhances well water retention and the access to it at a higher elevation. But the project itself would actually enhance the habitat in the northern Sea of Cortez, as well as the Colorado River Delta. So these entities with and around Laguna Salada is very viable. It's about a $350 million project to flood and restore Laguna Salada and those regions. And piping water over the mountain is very feasible. Whether it's a canal or a pipe, we're looking at both options. We also look at the Salton Sea itself, and we could actually start building projects within the Salton Sea to reduce salinity and increase habitat potential without even needing water import by creating what's called a salt sink, which is in line with the Colorado, the plans at the state level and other plans that have gone forward to encapsulate the salt without needing desalination.
So looking at it from the standpoint of the Mexican side of the project, I can imagine that this could create a lot of jobs, a lot of economic benefit for the Mexican side. Has that also been taken into account, and is it part of the negotiating process?
That's a great question. That's our predominant reason for developing this project and looking at Laguna Salada. Not only does it reduce a pipeline or a canal system with utilization of Laguna Salada, but it starts the backbone infrastructure of renewable energy generation using seawater for their geothermal plants, the opportunity for ocean water farming with industrial partners, wind farms, and then the hydroelectric power generation that can happen on both sides of the border. So that is our predominant reason for developing this, is that it's a benefit to Mexico. They get something that is nearly 2/3 the size of the Salton Sea at Laguna Salada for recreation, habitat, and other economic opportunities.
And what's the status right now of the negotiations with the Mexican government or the Mexican developers?
That's a great question. We are working right now with the property owners, the Kukapa tribe, as our predominant collaboration group. The property owners themselves are kind of our partners and why we're developing this project forward. We're going to meet with the whole tribe next month, but we've started communications with Canagua, which is the water agency. We're opening up communications with SILA, which is kind of the International Water or International Border and Water Commission. So we're starting those negotiations and then working our way up to the federal government as well.
So once the water is brought from the Sea of Cortez to the Laguna Salada, and then it is piped across the mountains into the Salton Sea, can you give us an idea of what the impact might be?
Yeah, so our goal is 200% benefit, not negative impacts, but positive impacts. And so that's our predominant goal. Whether we do a canal or we do a pipe system, the current design is a pipe network, but having a net positive impact in restoring the region surrounding any negative impacts, but also encouraging additional projects that enhance environments in other places. And that's kind of typical of Bureau of Land Management. If you have a negative disturbance, you have to offset that in a different area. But our hope is that it's all going to be a positive benefit, especially at the Salton Sea. I mentioned before, we can start a salt sink now that starts reducing salinity and increasing the water level, so we can start mitigating dust now. And that also is about a $350 million project, which in comparison to many other projects, even the North Lake, which is currently on the table for $400 million, that's a preferred alternative. So our goal is always a positive impact. That's why we're in the environmental project management space.
So certainly there are many other projects being considered for the restoration of the Salton Sea. This is one of them, and you have just mentioned some of the benefits of this one over the others. But when you put them all on the table, about how many projects are there being considered, or at least talked about, for the restoration?
Yeah, that's a great point. There was 11 projects submitted, including ours. I've heard that 2 of those projects have been consolidated since, so that might leave 10 projects total being submitted to the California Natural Resources Agency for water import. But we're diversifying this project and expanding it to not just be a California Natural Resources Agency development project. We really want to bring this and elevate it to the federal level for climate change mitigation and management. And this project helps enhance those cycles, which none of the other projects do. If we can evaporate more water, we can enhance and prolong the North American monsoon and start restoring the Colorado River Basin, which, as you can see, we're in a 1,200-year drought and it's just getting drier. So we really need positive projects, and none of the others really have that as a benefit.
And Nathan, can you explain to us what are some of the major challenges of bringing this sea-to-sea plan into fruition?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. We don't see that as much of a challenge as an opportunity, and that's why we've really kind of separated into 3 projects. One is Laguna Salada and the circulation systems there. The other is Salton Sea and its own circulation system, and then the connection of the 2. And we've made it into an opportunity by having those in 3 parallel tracks as far as permitting, entitlements, and moving things forward. But the biggest challenge is, regulatory processes and the conduit to get projects implemented. So that's why we're working directly in Mexico for the first phase, which is Laguna Salada, and see what that process and how fast that can move, while we're still doing all the environmental analysis to make sure it's a net positive benefit to the community.
Joe Frank lives in Redlands, but he's in love with the Salton Sea. His family owns a large property in the southwest area, 2 miles long by 1 mile wide, just a couple of miles south of Salton City. And he's upset that apparently little to nothing is being done to restore the sea to the economic majesty it once commanded in the region.
Well, the Salton Sea, as most of your residents know, has been an agricultural runoff, basically a sump for their fertilizer, pesticides, other carcinogenic chemicals for years and years. Some of those chemicals have raised the salinity so high that a lot of the fish have died off, as you can see in certain times of the year that line the shoreline. The small corvinas and perches and things. They have got to stop doing this for several reasons, not just for the health of the fish, but for the health of the people, the environment around it, and to make this sea alive again, I guess I want to say. Alive, I mean, at one time it had a great fishing industry. They had boats, large boats, that went out, took people out from Bombay Beach. And that wasn't that long ago when you think back, the 60s, 40 years ago. And there's no reason that the government can't do it. And they certainly have to do it for the health of the people here, the children here, the agriculture here. Roy and I drove through the agriculture part of it today, and it's amazing, the beautiful crops that are growing here. And I have heard that the crop industry here feeds about 1/3 to 2/3 of the whole United States. California is one of the best growing places, and Imperial Valley has some of the best land to grow in. What you're looking at here, it's pretty barren. A lot of these bushes, I'm not familiar with the names of them, but the alkaline from the sea has come up, and not a lot of things will grow here. It's so viable, and it's so important to Southern California, not just Imperial County, but to all of Southern California, because it has so many possibilities to come back to that thriving metropolis that it could be. When you think how much parts of Southern California have grown out, the housing, this could be a wonderful spot for more housing. But for some reason, it's kind of forgotten land. And I'm not real happy about that. And I have put my own voice into it, but I can't say that I've really gotten anywhere or that anybody's listened other than the people on Facebook. I think the people in Imperial County need to rise up and demand that the sea is saved and restored and made a recreational industry. I mean, it could be an industry, could be fishing, and if that means cooperating with Mexico and digging a canal from the Gulf, which I think is the best idea, has been proposed over the years. I understand it would be pretty much flow on its own, and it's only about 60 miles, which would be nothing for today's technology. So I'm hoping that in the near future, that's what would happen with the sea. Because if you look around, it's the desert with a big body of water in it it's mesmerizing. I would like to see it restored to a recreational use. Some houses, of course, agriculture and industrial, to make the Imperial County boom. I may not see it in my lifetime, but I truly believe that it will happen someday. The sea used to be so big, and that's probably why they called it a sea instead of a lake, but it went past Highway 86 into those rocks up there, which you can still see waterline.
Make a film, Save the Sea. Just make a short 3 to 5 minute film on the Salton Sea, the New River, or the environment, and send it to us, and we'll put it in the festival. Remember, our festival this year is on November the 5th, and the deadline for submission is October the 23rd. We hope that you enjoyed our episode today on celebrating Earth Day at the Salton Sea. Please follow us on social media, Facebook, or email us so that we can give you more updates. This is Roy Durante saying, save the Salton Sea.